thumbs up or something like that.
All right.
Look at the layers of the Earth. The Earth is made up of 4 main layers: the crust, the mantle, the outer core, and the inner core. These layers of the Earth are kind of similar to a peach. Think about a peach has a thin layer of skin around the outer edge to protect
Huh? Are you in your court?
the
Yeah.
Earth very thin.
You're in.
Kind of like the mantle of the Earth, and a peach also has a pit in the center, just like the Earth has a core in its center.
You want me to start 1v1 once you get in here? No, because I'm watching this video. I gotta do this.
Primarily of rock.
It's 10 minutes long, but it's really like 5 minutes.
Are definitely all made up of rock.
Doesn't really take that long.
Hard, solid rock. The mantle actually has some semi-liquid layers.
No, okay. I'll be back.
And then when you get to the inner and outer core, those are made up of mostly iron and nickel.
Iron. I see how it is, Mom. I see how it is. My mom is doing me dirty, bro. Ow. So she knows I'm starving, right? She's just in her car in our driveway, just sitting there. Like a freaking
She probably just sitting there on her phone, or she's probably.
No, she's on the phone with someone, but I don't care. She's probably on her phone with her best friend that go to her house all the time.
Go outside through the garage, knock on her window, get your food, and come back in.
No, I don't have any pants on.
Which we call the atmosphere. So if the surface of the Earth has the crust right here, there's a layer of gas above it, which is our atmosphere.
Put some shorts on.
Thank you. Is she home? Wait, is she here? I don't care, but I guess so. Come on.
Is surrounded by a thin
Bradley, the button says it's called a rewatch.
Layer of gas, which we call the atmosphere.
I think she's home. I'll be back to get my food.
Right here, there's a layer of gas above it, which is our atmosphere. The entire planet is surrounded by a thin layer of gas, which we call the atmosphere.
I'm back.
The surface of the Earth has the crust right here above it, which is our atmosphere.
I'm confused because if I say rock, I'm gonna feel like I gotta get it wrong. There you go, I got it right.
So there are 2 ways to classify the layers of the Earth. One is looking at the compositional layers, or chemical layers. And these are classified based on chemical properties or elements. And the compositional layers would be the crust, the mantle, and the core. We could also look at the physical classification, which classifies the parts based on physical properties or states of matter. Those would be called the lithosphere, the asthenosphere, the mesosphere, the outer core, and the inner core. And each have different properties. So you can look at what it's actually made up of, the type of material, or you can think about the states of the matter. We are going to focus on the compositional layers. So talking about the crust, the mantle, and the core. So how do we know what makes up the Earth? Scientists have no way of digging past the crust. They can't get into the center of the Earth, so how do we know what's inside the Earth and what it's made up of?
I'm starving.
Well, the trick is we have to use something in our other senses here. Alright, we can use seismic waves, for example, which are created by the energy caused by earthquakes. We can use these seismic waves and look at them as they pass through the Earth, and as they go through the Earth, they encounter different materials. And they change in important ways. They can bend or refract or reflect. They can become longer, shorter, faster, slower. And geologists study these changes in the waves. They're able to draw some conclusions about what the core of the Earth must look like.
think she saw me. I'll be back.
They can become longer, shorter, faster, slower. And geologists study these changes in the waves, and they're able to draw some conclusions about what the core of the Earth must look like.
They use seismic waves, but I don't know, cause if I say earthquake waves, that's weird. Drills, that's weird. They don't say nothing about satellites. I'm gonna say earthquake waves. Yes, I got it right.
Let's start by looking at the crust. The crust is made up of rocks and minerals. Much of the crust is covered by water, sand, oil, and ice. If you dig deep enough, though, you'll always hit rock. Because below the loose layer of soil,
this guy got Chick-fil-A.
What up?
What are y'all learning in 6th grade?
In science or what?
Science.
The layers of the Earth. So like the core, the inner core, the mantle, the crust.
Oh yeah,
with
we
the
did
spear,
that in 6th grade
then a
too.
spear.
Yeah, we did that in 6th grade.
So is Emery in 7th grade or is he in 6th grade?
He's in 7th.
Or 8th grade? 7th grade.
Why?
I was asking because it seems like he was in 8th grade for a second.
Oh, he's in 7th. Oh crap.
Dense layer. This is why it's on the outer edge. It's floating on top of the other layers of the Earth. So the less dense something is, the more it will rise up or float. Alright, so the crust is the least dense layer that we have for the Earth.
The thinnest and the least dense, or the thickest and the least dense? Yes, I got it right.
And actually there are two types of crust. There's continental crust and oceanic crust. Continental crust tends to be thicker, some 30 to 100 kilometers thick. It's less dense, and it's mostly pretty old. Oceanic crust tends to be thinner, 5 to 7 kilometers thick, more dense, and younger. And we also often find the oceanic crust will slide.
Oceanic crust is thicker than continental crust. I need a rewatch.
Thick, it's less dense, and it's mostly pretty old. Oceanic crust tends to be thinner, 5 to 7 kilometers thick, more dense, and younger. And we also often find the oceanic crust will slide.
Which statement is true? Oceanic crust is thicker than continental crust. Oceanic crust is younger. Yeah, it is.
Slide under the continental crust. We'll see that more when we talk about earthquakes and stuff. The crust consists of many continental and oceanic plates that have slowly moved and changed positions on the globe throughout geological time over millions and millions of years. Alright, but the continental crust is pretty thick, and the oceanic crust is much thinner. Let's move on to looking at the mantle. The mantle is much thicker than the crust and contains most of the Earth's mass.
I've been sub.
Actually, big chunk of the Earth's mass.
Got me BCK.
I got you, bro.
Very thick.
With the sub.
It's made up of molten rock, and by molten we mean melted by.
I got you after this.
So it's mainly iron and magnesium, which can flow. It doesn't sound like a rock should be able to flow.
Why do you say it like that? It sounds like a rock. Rock. Rock.
Shut the fuck up, bro.
That's like a rock. This is because of the convection current. Such a.
But not as dense as the core.
The core is not dense, man. Or is it? I think it might be.
It's not.
Currents can create space in the mantle as well. This can cause pieces of crust to actually move.
Pieces of crust move.
Well, when you create convection currents, remember convection happens because as the water heats up, its molecules start to spread.
As the water heats up.
And less dense things will start to float or rise up. So we get these convection currents rising up. And imagine we've got two wooden blocks floating up here. That rising water can actually start to cause those blocks to move to the side, right, as it pushes up in between them. Same thing happens inside the mantle with that molten rising and creates magma coming up to the surface, coming out, and can push giant plates of the crust to the side and start moving. It heats up and starts to
Bro, these
rise
fries are
up.
juicy, bro. I ain't tripping.
And that
I
can
ain't
rise
tripping.
magma coming up to the surface, coming out, and can push giant plates of the crust to the side and start to move them.
The mantle is composed of what? What is the mantle composed of?
What you're doing is probably easy.
It heats up and starts to wooden blocks floating up here. Water heats up by heat. So
Molten rock.
Iron and magnesium, which can flow. It doesn't sound like a rock should be able to flow, but if we start to melt it, it becomes
Molten rock.
The mantle surrounds the entire dense metallic core. So our core is going to be a dense metal. So the core is the layer of the Earth that extends from below the mantle to the center of the Earth. It's made up of two regions, the outer core and the inner core. So let's start with the outer core. The outer core is below the mantle and is about 2,200 kilometers thick. The outer core is made up of liquid, iron, and nickel. And it's molten metal. So again, this is a liquid. It's metal. Alright, so it can...
It says it in the picture, you dumbo.
It can flow as well. The outer core is denser than the crust and mantle, but not as dense as the inner core. That's why it's not quite at the very bottom, or the center. The inner core, let's take a look at that. So at the center of the Earth is a solid inner core, which is about 1,200 kilometers thick. So the inner core is made up of solid iron and nickel. And it's solid because there's a lot of pressure pushing down on it from the rest of the Earth's layers. So this is different than the outer core, which is liquid metal, iron and nickel still, because of that pressure.
There's a lot of you turning it in, and I can't write your names as fast.
The inner core is the
but I can see that you did it, so when you're done, just type it in the chat, and then you make out that's recording, and it'll show up in two places. And Davis, I'm going to your question. Yes. I'm done. Okay, just...
The solid inner core, again, is surrounded by that liquid, melted, or molten outer core. Now, what's kind of interesting is that